Mm.
So do you agree with that? Do you think you work that way?
Yeah, and I think that's why I was so confused at the time at uni as to, like, they were trying to kind of say, "Oh, yeah, just sample and just see where," like, not see where it goes, but, like, it was weird. It was like not have a sort of outcome, but you still need to have a context for which it's in. And for me, it was hard because I was like, "Yeah, I'm in this sort of fine art context. What how would it then scope out?" And so I was trying to, like, link it to something that maybe would resonate with them, but then as a result, it probably didn't, and it probably didn't still make sense because it wasn't in that sort of design sort of orientation that they wanted. So, but from that, really, it's kind of been better for me because it's kind of now I'm using like the fine art with the design, and it's becoming a hybrid of whatever it's meant to become. And now it's something really strange.
Yeah, it's kind of it's joined itself together in a really
Yeah.
interesting way now, hasn't it? Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I like it. I like you. I don't do anything that's particularly fine art based. I mean, I make hats for goodness sake, but I make them from a fine art perspective, and that is a whole different set of rules, isn't it?
Mm.
The conceptual set of rules is what's this about? What's it trying to say? Where am I going with this? Is it political? Isn't it political? What's it to do with? Does it does it have my core values? I mean, if we were ICI or Coca-Cola, we'd say, what is our mission statement? But
Yeah.
we're not, are we? We just go, well, what's it about, really? And that's it, isn't it? That's your mission statement, whatever yours is about. And it's about this using the term thread as broadly as you can have it, I
Yeah.
think. Um, and and sort of like expanding on what is thread? What is it? Here's the dictionary definition of thread. Right, how far are we going to strew this, stretch it and manipulate it to get to where I want to go with it in a way that people that are not art based at all aren't intimidated by it, because you talk about fine art and everybody goes, oh, not on your dolly, you don't
Yeah.
understand that, it's a pile of bricks in the day, didn't it, duck? And it's not, is it? But you have to, because we get it and they haven't got it yet, doesn't mean they're never going to get it. Just you have to make it, to explain it to somebody that doesn't understand it, you've got to use a language familiar to both of you, haven't you? And
That and it's no jargon, because that's the
yeah,
thing at the moment,
yeah.
jargon or
Oh,
things like that, people don't
oh,
understand, and people might not even understand the process of what embroidery is in itself, and it's kind of loosening that term up to help them define what it does it mean to you, because that's what I kind of did during that 3 years. Like, yeah, we got to learn the basics of what embroidery is, but then it's like, well, now how do you define it yourself? And for me, through that process, I really did dig deep because it wasn't about fancy fabrics that I couldn't, not that I couldn't afford, but they were very like,
particularly
I don't
want.
know, they can be very expensive. And I wanted to go, well, there's something lying over there. For, like, at one point, I was using, so I was going to like these carpet places and using like cushion flooring, cutting that up, and then putting like a foiling over the top. And then from that, I was recreating these sorts of more structural elements. So we're still using that print process in a way, but incorporating it with other like um attachments, and I suppose it becomes an assemblage of all these things, which funnily enough is now what my series is my art series is called, this time around, where I'm fitting embroidery and ceramics together. So it's weird, it becomes this assemblage of things.
Yeah, and I think that, as you touched on there is so much waste material
Yeah.
and fabric and thread, and just so much stuff just discarded willy nilly. Not just everyday folks such as ourselves, but big businesses. They discard so many things. You just chuck it to landfill. Oh, I've had enough of that. Let's throw
Mm.
it out. And it's, this isn't what it's about, is it? My hobby horse is always, yeah, you can mix the new with the recycled. Hey, let's, yeah, you might not be able to do that with something you found, but if you can do it with something you found, then have at it. And I think that's where we kind of are on this, on a level playing field, because we take sometimes new stuff and we jumble it up with not so new stuff, and then we create this new thing. And there's something kind of heartening about that, isn't there? That we're using, both you and I are using old techniques. And I think those, I'm acutely aware, because of, as I wander into my dotage, that people are de-skilling at the rate of knots. What is
Mm.
going on? You know, your car mechanic isn't a mechanic now, he's a technician. You know, everybody is de-skilling, and you think, well, not everybody, but you know what I mean, generally speaking. And I think that things that I take for granted that everybody can do, and I'm sure the same with you, you know, I can stitch a button on, of course I can put a zip in something, of course I can. Can anybody? No, well, apparently not. Apparently
Mm.
people can't do that. But then it's bizarre, isn't it? We live in weird times. I don't know where we're all going, to be fair. So what's your next project then? Where are you headed with all of this amalgamation of everything? Where is Amy in the next year? Where is she headed?
So in terms of like I was saying about the assemblage of things, so up to this point now, so my new series of works that I've been creating is basically the fusion of embroidery with ceramics. So it's kind of testing that sort of the textiles, the fine art sort of realm with the ceramic processes and mixing the two together. So that's what I've been working on at the moment, and that is well, it's going to be a part of an exhibition, well, exhibition sort of festival
Oh wow.
around here in Stoke-on-Trent, which will be starting
Mhm.
shortly. And basically so I finished that work just this Saturday,
Oh my
and
goodness.
basically with those pieces, I'll be exhibiting those there, and I'm hoping to kind of use them for maybe the next stage of where it is that I'm pushing with the work, to be fair, because I just feel like, do you know when you have like what you have been doing in the past and then you have what you're doing now? It is, how do you merge the two together? Some people like it, some people don't. Like I had a comment today, and it was really interesting, to be fair, where they're like, oh, I actually like the more natural materials, and obviously they were kind of questioning that. You probably don't need all this fancy other stuff, whatever, along that sorts of line. And for me, I was like, for me it's more about the bringing together of what I've done now with the past, and I just feel like by merging the two together, that's going to bring about the hybridization of something different, rather than doing the same thing all of the time and there's never any change.
Well, if you don't push the envelope at all, then we all stagnate, don't we? And
Mm.
also, all these little ideas, I don't know about you, I've got a dozen and one little ideas going. Well, that's probably an underestimation. I'm sure it is for you. Willing and one ideas going on in my head. And if you don't get them out of your head, they just shout louder and louder and keep you awake at night, don't they? Do you find
Exactly.
that? You know, and you
Yeah.
just think, I've got to get this piece of work out, regardless of what it looks like, it's got to come out, and then I've got to look at it. And then when we had our conversation, I remember saying to you, you know, nothing is ever wasted, is it?
No,
It,
exactly. It never is.
you know, it's a stepping stone to the next thing, whatever that is. And I firmly believe that. So, you know, when you've got a pot that's gone cranky, I mean, I did a bit of pottery because I did an MD in craft. I was going to do a craft degree right
Ah,
now.
yeah.
Again, until one of those sparkly people that didn't look very sparkly at all, this chap, this very quiet, unassuming chap, just turned up and sent me in a different direction, and the right direction, as it turned out. But you know, and so I did a bit of kind of clay work. I'm not going to call it ceramics because I think that's just over egging pudding there. But you know, you can put something magnificent in, and it can just be a right mess. I think
Hmm.
it's the unpredictability of it, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, I always find that. And it's kind of utilizing it in a way that's going to serve you the best, because there could be that I I use like obviously clay in a way which is very different to like your usual potter and what they'd create. But we wanting separate outcomes. So, and I always think, embrace the imperfection. If the imperfection's there, why cover it up? Because we aren't perfect, nothing's perfect. So let's just keep it there and celebrate it.
I agree. The Shaker people in America, they have this, like, they make everything, and they have this notion that nothing should be perfect. And if it
Mm.
is looking perfect, they put an imperfection in it, because in their world, their ethos is that the only person that can make perfection is God. I mean, that's a bit religious, but that's their idea.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they build in an imperfection. And there's something kind of heartening about that, isn't there? The fact that, you know, I like those odd, you know, the wonky veg and the, it's
Yeah,
still, you know, we're all wonky in our own way, aren't we?
we
You know,
are.
we might look okay on the outside, but we're all a bit wonky on our own way. And, you know, that also, that imperfection leads into your mental health work, doesn't it? Because, you know, we're all a little bit off center sometimes. some of us more times than others, but, you know, we get a bit off centre, don't we? And I think, yeah, that work kind of illustrates that in a kind of quiet way. That, you know, sometimes you don't have to have a big neon sign and hold it up, do you? Sometimes just saying it quietly is enough. You know, you don't have to shout. It can shout quietly, if that's like an oxymoron all round. So yeah, so when is this exhibition happening, and are we all going to get an invite? Can we all come?
So, yeah, so it will be running around like September, October-ish time, I think it is. So not long to go really, but yeah, drop off was
Are you?
yesterday.
Oh, are you ready
And
then?
all of
Right,
the
you're ready
things.
in good time. Crikey, Bob, that's good. You're not
Yeah,
being
but that
intimidated with pots out the oven 5 minutes before they need to get.
no, but that's the thing. So
Yeah.
that was the challenge with the pottery, ceramics. I was actually writing about this the other day, about the idea of like caring for creativity, and I felt like ceramics is a very tedious process, and it's very long, so it's having that time to get it all together. And then for me, with the glazing part, it was very just experimenting with like what can be achieved and how these different sort of glazes run into one another, the spontaneity of it. So to be fair, it kind of worked. And even if it has a little crack on the bottom or slight imperfection, it's one of those things. Again, it's embracing that, and then maybe highlighting it with a different color of something that it picks it out, so that it's like, oh, that is there, but it's meant to be there.
Yeah. You see, some wise person at uni once said to me, and it was an incredible statement, really. And she said, the thing is, you're getting all knotted up about something that you don't have to worry about. I went, how so? You know, I'm in a bit of a tizzy here. So how so? And she said, the thing is, you see, nobody knows what it's supposed to look like until you present it to them. She said, because up until that, they've not seen it. And if you haven't described it in the minutiae of detail, they've only got a vague idea what they're looking at. And their vague idea of what it looks like is supported by their own thought process. So it's quite existential, really, when you think about it. So she said, so you might be thinking, oh my goodness, that doesn't look how I want it to. But actually, nobody knows what it looks like until it's done and you sling it out into the world. Well, maybe not sling in Pot's case, but, you know, put it out into the world. And so she said, so stop getting baffled over with all of that. Just make it and then look at it and appraise it and tweak it. But don't get bogged down in it, because life's too short, and the only person with an expectation of a piece that you're creating is you. And you become your own worst, well, I mean, we're all our own worst critics, but we become our own worst enemies. And I thought, you know, that's very shrewd.
And also you're never always going to be everybody's cup of tea. Like people have said to
Completely
me,
not.
oh, why didn't you do this, or why didn't you do that? You'll have an explanation, and maybe that's something down the line that you might trial. But obviously, if you don't change things will never change, and you're never going to grow as an artist or craftsperson, etc. So yeah, my sort of thought process in relation to the creative space is do something that little bit differently in order to get a bit of a different sort of perspective on the world, on a subject, and yeah, just go with it and see where it goes.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there's nothing more soul destroying than sitting there looking at your stuff and thinking, bored with this. Because, you know, you've missed the mark, haven't you? You need to be kind of like looking at it from a different place, or,
Mhm.
you know, going out and doing something else, or going and looking at something else. You know, go and look at, you know, if you're doing something that's not organic, go and look at something mechanical, or go and look at something else. Go look at costume if you're doing, you know, I do hats. So I very often go and look at industry, not because industrial things are about hats particularly, but I'm looking at shape and form. And it's that, isn't it? You just get your inspiration from wherever it comes, and it seems organic. I don't know if it is, but to me it is. And I think, you know, I speak to quite a lot of people that are creatives, and it seems to be that way for all of us, you know, in our own little heads and weirdy creative spaces.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Nobody would want this head on, and I'm sure they wouldn't want yours on either. For more than mine's just a mess. Don't go in there. But it's like your craft room, isn't it? It's an onboard craft room. Everything is in there, and it's all in there for a good reason, but nobody's quite worked out what it is yet until
Oh
the
yes.
thing jumps up and goes, hey, it's my turn now. Yeah, it's got, oh, sorry. So yeah, so what advice then do you think or what little nugget of loveliness would you give someone who is either starting out on this journey or has got to a lumpy bit where they can't quite see where they're going? Because your journey's been very long and arduous, as have all of us, but yours has, and you've changed direction. And you've got this really healthy Facebook community going, and you're off doing this, that, and the other. You're a really busy art woman. So how would you encourage people if they've gone into a bit of a funk?
So I'd just say, like, if it is that you've got something in your head that you kind of want to experiment, whether that be print, whether that be embroidery, just go for it. The only thing that's going to stop you is obviously you and your abilities of doing something. But even if you might not do it properly, see if you can try it in a way where you can like do something, and then that might be your thing going forward, doing it your way, if that makes sense. And then you can put your own spin on it.
I think you're absolutely right. Amy, it's been an absolute delight to turn the tables on you. You interview so many people with your podcast, and it's just a treat to kind of ask you a bit about yourself, because you very selflessly ask us to waffle on about ourselves, and we do relentlessly. So it's nice to be able to turn the tables on you a bit. And how's it been to be interviewed? Has it been all right? Have we
I've enjoyed it. It's always great to have a chat with you, Gail. So yeah, I'm always up for a chat. So maybe down the line we'll do another one. But no,
Oh,
it's
that'd be really
always
cool.
always so great.
I'll get the gnarly questions out for the next one then.
No, brilliant. No, thank you so much for interviewing. It's also been a pleasure.
You're very welcome, and it's been a delight.